If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide. Hello. Welcome back to the Singer's Path podcast. It's me, your host, Sarah Bishop. And today I'm going to be doing one of those dual try to do TikTok live, try to be on the podcast. I'm actually recording this before Christmas, but by the time this comes out on the podcast, it will be after Christmas. So if I'm seeing you on the live right now, I just want to wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, as we're getting into this. For anyone listening to it after Christmas, I really hope that you had a wonderful holiday. You got to spend time with family. And today we're going to talk about how we're going to prepare ourselves best for 2026 and how we're going to reposition ourselves for our goals, how we are going to get clearer on how to meet our goals, whether it's being a singer, which a lot of my listeners, a lot of my followers know me as someone that really helps with vocal coaching and vocal pedagogy, voice technique, all of that. And I think a big part of this, as my business has grown and grown and grown and grown, I've realized that the business needs to cover more than just vocal technique. And so if you've noticed by following me or you're coming on the live right now, we've started to branch out to more of to offer more support and what it means to pursue an art form, whether that's singing or whether that's acting or any kind of performance-based thing, whether you're even a physical artist, like you draw and you paint and you do things. There's not a ton of support, and there's no one way to pursue your art, whether it's even, on a personal level or a professional level. And what was ending up happening in my business when I was teaching singers, the higher level, the higher caliber of singer that I started to work with, because I got better and better as a teacher, and the more that I posted online and was posting content, it came back to these similar themes. And there are also themes that I was experiencing in my own life. Like I at the end of the day, it becomes more than even the physical act of singing. Like when you get to a certain point as a vocal technician, like the mind games and the mind and emotional support you need to give yourself to hold yourself through the next stage of development as a singer become just as or more important as the vocal workouts that you're doing. Especially if you want to stay in the game of pursuing your art and, following your dreams and doing all of that stuff. I don't think it's a secret to anybody that, becoming a professional artist or pursuing a dream or like going for the thing, is difficult or challenging. It has its challenges. Now, we all know everything in life has its challenges, but I mean, it's pretty much well known. Like you're really taking a chance if you're going to pursue your dream. A lot of people don't really do that. And so what ends up happening is there's not a lot of like a roadmap available for people to learn how to hold themselves through the inevitable ups and downs that exist for being a professional artist. Okay. So I want to talk about how, we can set goals for ourselves as singers. We can set goals for ourselves as people who have ambition, that want money, that want career, that you want all these things, right? But I think at the end of the day, we need to learn how to systemize holding ourselves through the ups and downs. That was what it means to pursue something, right? And I think, again, that's what I've started to post about, and we talk about here all the time on the podcast. But, not that I don't love doing my vocal pedagogy, and we talk about vocal technique stuff. I hope in the early new year, I will be, releasing more episodes specifically about singer-related issues, even some technical ones. But this inner work, this reflection, this ability to hold yourself truly through the ups and downs of being an artist, the rejection, is one piece of it, but there's just so much more. I think that being a professional singer, professional artist, there's a deepening of experience, because artists, in a nutshell, they reflect humanity back to itself. Like, that's what the best artists do. And so they're very in touch with, they should be, very in touch with the emotions and the human experience and what it means to be human. So whether you're a singer, you're an actor, you're a performer, any of that, like, we all know that to be true, right? But again, like I said, like, what do you do, when you're trying to navigate this different lifestyle from other people? How do you keep showing up to perform your art? How do you not lose touch of loving your voice when it becomes so technical? Because, all of a sudden your entire focus becomes on like singing perfectly, or getting, like, say you're an opera singer, like singing to be cast in a company, and then you're told all the time, that your voice is too big or too small, or too musical theater or not musical theater enough, or too classical or too pop or not pop enough, or all this thing. So even if we're zoning in on just specifically singer related issues, like, when you choose to pursue something you love, there will be entanglements and there will be snares in that. And there is nothing besides The Artist's Way, which is a beautiful program. But, there's nothing else that really is specifically for artist-related issues. So that's why today we're going to be talking about what things, we're going to talk about some questions that you might want to ask yourself on ways that 2026 can be different, ways that you can recommit to yourself. And I want to broaden the scope past, I want to belt higher, or, I even want to book a certain kind of job, or I want to get, I want to get a certain kind of role, or I want this thing outside of me to happen for me. And I want you to start to maybe just in your head, consider the fact that maybe we have some kind of reclamation. What is the word I'm trying to say? Reclamation over our own creativity and what that could possibly look like. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Ways that we can basically cast out into 2026, ways that we can recommit to ourselves, okay? So I don't know about you, but 2025 was a little hard. It was a little hard. For me, it was a great year of uncovering and getting like ruthlessly honest with some truths that I didn't really want to see, and kind of sitting in more or less this kind of poopy diaper with everything. And, just it became very painfully obvious what was working and what wasn't working, whether it was in my business or my creativity or my personal life or anything. It was a big year of stripping back and having to uncover, just truths that I didn't really want to look at, if I'm completely honest. Like 2025 was difficult. And I think one of the main reasons is that it's getting us ready. It's like the tide is pulling back. But when the tide pulls back, that's uncomfortable because it's, showing us where some things have been lying under the water that we didn't really want to see. And you're probably like, Sarah, why are you being so cryptic and weird about it? I'll be more transparent about it here. I've known for a long time that, like, at the core of my heart, like, I really want to be of service and help people and make the process of pursuing art easier for people. And I think I didn't really realize what that meant. It started out me pursuing my own art and that being the only thing. And not that I won't continue doing that for myself, because I will, because it helps me be better at helping other people when I'm doing it for myself. So it's like completely necessary to continue working on my own singing and my own songwriting and my own acting and all of that. I love it, so it will be something that never goes away. But there was some kind of dissonance present that I really had to be real with myself. If you listen to any of the previous episodes of how I'm I've manifested, in a sense, things into my life that I got really good at and kind of figured out what a good process is for doing that. I talk about this dissonant feeling that happens when you're rubbing up against a fear that maybe just something isn't aligned for you in the way that you thought it was. Okay. And so when I talk about this in this 3-part series, they were a few episodes ago, but they're not too far along from this. You can go back and listen to those. I'm not going to get into too much detail about that. But basically, this year showed me what was no longer in alignment in the way that I was pursuing it. So it became painfully obvious that I can no longer even hold any kind of space for pushing in auditioning in the way that I was, because it just doesn't. I'm too self-aware of what that's actually causing inside of me. Right now, I'm speaking personally. I don't know, listener or person on TikTok Live. I'm not sure. I think we all had some kind of reveal happen, but, I don't know if it's particularly about your career or anything. Whatever that is, I just want to offer empathy and compassion, because I know how difficult it is to have a just fiery burning truth come to the surface and be like, well, shit. Because for me, that was something that I was always afraid of, right? That was always something that I was the most afraid of. And I think I knew it for a long time, that pursuing my art in the way that I was, in a way that was really pushing and misaligned, and I wasn't listening to my intuition, and I was just trying to get roles to seek validation. There was a part of me that really for a long time was secretly like, oh, I really hope this isn't true. I really, this is for me. I was in denial for a long time. I was like, there's no way that this can't be for me. This was my dream. It has to be. But as we get older, our dreams shift and change. And I've talked about this in other podcast episodes, but it was undeniable even 10 years ago when this started to kind of creep up on me, this fear that maybe this wasn't all the way aligned. It was undeniable that it would have to look different. But I was too scared of sitting with that truth because I didn't know what that was. It was so unknown. I had been taught to pursue art and singing and acting and dancing in a certain way. I was taught that, we as artists are for hire. I had a hard time reckoning with even calling myself an artist. Sometimes there's something called shadow, and I'll talk about that here in a second as we are talking about ways that we can work on ourselves and recommit to ourselves and get clear in this. But I actually was in such dissonance about pursuing this previous dream of only performing in such a way that I didn't even feel comfortable calling myself an artist, because I mostly looked at being an auditioning actor or singer as someone that was work for hire, which there is some truth to that, right? I didn't feel as actually creatively fulfilled deep down, because I was always kind of like, well, they hire me to make their vision come true. How does that show me as an artist or creative? Me singing so much better from Legally Blonde and having, my little take on it is really more about giving the director what they want than it is about me creating something. So now I'm not saying that that's accurate, but I am saying I even for the longest time, when I was too afraid of looking at how this wasn't all the way aligned for me, I had a hard time even calling myself an artist, right? I just very much had horse blinders on. I couldn't see. It was almost like I somewhere decided along the way, oh, it has to be this way. I have to have a lead on Broadway. I have to make this happen so that I can show myself that I was good enough this whole time, or I can show everybody around me I wasn't foolish for deciding to pursue my art in the first place, okay? And because I had these horse blinders on, there had to be no other option. I was trying to manifest my dream, or commit to my dream, or do all the motivational stuff. Everybody's like, there is no plan B. There's only plan A. This has to be it. But what happens if that's not all the way right, actually, right? Then you're just lying to yourself, right? And that's basically that's been the dissonance in my heart for a long time. And it's so layered and sticky, because it's I still love singing. I love performing. I would love to be in productions. That doesn't go away. It's just the matter of choke holding the dream that for a long time kept me very small and feeling like it had to happen this way. I was so desperate. I was so blind and deaf to the actual way it was supposed to happen for me. And yet I can still reflect and look back even on those years, leading all the way up through my 20s. There was always this secret underlying whisper of really what did feel more aligned for me. I just was too scared to look at that because I still had too many stories around letting go of the other dream, right? Or letting go of having the other dream come out a certain way, right? So this year has all been about grieving the 20s, all those years of pushing for something that never all the way quite felt right, but I felt like I needed to have happen so I didn't feel like a loser or a failure, or, I had to look at all the times where I pretty much came up with every reason under the sun as to why it wasn't happening for me in the way it was. Tried to justify it with, well, I need to work on my skill to be good enough to be undeniable. It has to happen for me. And when really, what I really needed to do for myself, which was why 2025 was so hard, was just sit and acknowledge the sadness and the lack of control that we have as artists, and acknowledge that, finally soften around that, finally see what was coming into fruition and stop fighting it, and soften around the timeline piece. Because every time I say this, like, please don't get this misconstrued if you're listening on live or if you're listening to the podcast. I have not given up on pursuing performing or acting or singing. It's just I no longer need it to happen in a certain way. I don't care, right? Like, I've gotten really clear about, first of all, reflecting on the 10 years of pushing and grinding and doing it the way that I was taught but didn't feel good to me. I've sat in the grief and the sadness to be like, oh, I acknowledge and I feel for that version of myself that really needed or wanted it to happen in that way. And I see her. And once I softened with my timeline and agenda of it needing to happen in a certain way, all of a sudden it was like the craziest thing. It's like I almost finally took off these like tinted glasses in a way that I was seeing myself. Like this, it's never enough. Like, you always have to work on it. Always has to change. It's never good enough. It was good enough, you would be getting the roles, and I would sit there and actually be with the sadness of it not working out for me in the way that I wanted it to. And I finally started to see and like actually process, looking back at videos that I'd taken of myself in my 20s. I finally, with professional help, and we're going to get into this in a second, sat with all of those layers, and I had to reconcile that I was I was responsible for drifting away from my joy so intensely because I got so obsessed with my life having to turn out and look a certain way. And oh God, this like makes me emotional. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok Live. I appreciate that. Because what ends up happening is when we allow fear and desperation to grab a hold of our dream, that is the biggest way we get away from our power. We don't see how capable we are as people. We stop listening to our intuition, and we chokehold the joy out of it. So one of the many layers that I combed through was actually forgiving myself, and really seeing how fear can really strangle something like that, and reconciling and making peace with that sadness of being like, wow, how did something so pure and something that I used to soothe myself with at such a deep, vulnerable, like pure childlike level, how did that happen? How did we get away from that? And when did that happen? And so that's basically one of the large things that I saw come away, become the uncovering this year, is forgiving myself for doing that out of fear and offering great compassion, like genuine compassion, genuinely seeing yourself, if basically it comes down to this, guys, if there's something that you have been terrified to look at, we all know what it is. I knew for a long time that there was something off. And if you listen to the 3-part manifesting series, I was really good at manifesting things that were aligned for me, like left and right. There was something off when it became about the fear, and then it was almost like I was subconsciously actually pushing what I thought I wanted away. There was a part of me that was afraid or didn't feel like I deserved to receive what I actually wanted. And at the other end, there was also a part of me that knew deep down it wasn't actually what I wanted. And so it was almost this like subconscious protection, even though I was pushing and pushing and pushing. It was hard to reconcile with the fact that like when you're used to manifesting things pretty easily, when you know you're in a surrendered place, when you're in a joyful place, when you're acting out of intuition, it's a big scary thing to look at the thing you've told yourself you've wanted for a long time and finally be honest with yourself and realize like, oh shit, like no, I'm not very surrendered. This is completely out of fear. And then at a deeper level, I was like, wow, I wonder why I'm still doing this if actually pursuing this thing doesn't make me feel very good. Right. And I don't think I would have been able to see this unless I had a business, like unless I had something else. I was fulfilling other areas of my life, helping other people learn to sing, and kind of realize that wow, helping other people find their voice, supporting other people actually brings me just as much or even sometimes more joy than me doing it myself. And but one of the deepest layers that came this year was actually recognizing that pursuing and pushing myself to make, this standard level of success happen in the audition grind way so that I could be one of the ones that make it and not give up kind of thing. That was actually me keeping a familiar pattern and a familiar loop. So I accidentally actually was just recreating chaos in my life and this feeling of never feeling good enough and continuing to act and behave from actually an older loop that happened earlier in my life, that I always have to over-deliver and change myself and perform in a certain way and be chosen in order to be loved. And it just kept me on this like vicious cycle pursuit of I always have to change. I always have to work on myself. I'm never good enough. And like, it was like my brain basically just showed me every reason why that story was true. And I just kept staying in this like broken loop of like feeling like shit about myself. And again, another level of grief to be like, holy shit, this thing that I went into that felt like such a beautiful leap of faith when I was younger, I've misconstrued. I didn't even realize that I was in this chaotic loop. And again, once you start to pull those glasses off, everything starts to feel a bit more dissonant and bizarre. So then there's a whole other layer to it, right? Like this isn't a very fun process, hence why 2025 sucked ass. Because it was not cute to be like, oh shit, like what have I done to myself? But here's the other side of it. It is also really beautiful because I think by creating this space and finally being honest with myself as to what my motives were for the kind of success that I wanted, which was to get validation to finally feel good enough and yet stay in a cycle that ultimately was like this weird existential kink of never feeling good enough. And keeping myself engaged just simply for that reason, and to get outside validation. Once I started to settle in that, it softened around remembering what the actual dream was. Right? It almost like chipped away at the calluses and the hardness that had developed. And even sitting in my mushy grief and my sadness around acceptance and being honest with myself, I got to see some really beautiful things of my true desires. Things that I had actually told myself in this desperate anxious push to achieve something in a certain way, things that I had told myself I couldn't actually have, like having a family or having a successful business, or traveling a lot, having that actual freedom. Like when the calluses started to soften around it, I started remembering before all of this fear took hold, what I actually wanted. And it was interesting. And I think I made a video about this on TikTok. I don't think it's come out yet. But I actually used to practice before I had gotten all fearful and shit about stuff. I used to go to this coffee shop in Harlem and I would just sit there with my computer and I would work on literally nothing because I didn't know what I was supposed to work on. But all I knew was that someday I knew actually what I wanted was to be this online entrepreneur somehow. And I just knew that I was going to be some kind of business person at some point. Like, I didn't know what or where. It didn't even exist yet. It wasn't a thing. And I remember just like sitting there though and like kind of pretending to work or like researching how to do things. But like I was so far removed from that ever becoming a reality at that point that like I just would just sit there and type nonsense. Like I was like playing pretend. I was literally playing pretend for the life that I have now. I was playing pretend. That was 10 years ago. So like, that's what I mean. It's like when the dissonance and the push of your ego or the seeking of validation gets louder than the actual dream and actual desire, that's where we can really come away from ourselves. We can really get distant and dissonant from the joy we once held because we're not staying flexible in the transmutation of the dream, right? So what we're going to talk about now, I know I've shared a lot about my own dream and my own uncovering in 2025. I feel like I'm not the only one on this TikTok live or listening to this podcast right now that has had some kind of deep uncovering. I don't know if it's in relationships. I don't know if it's with something else. If it's there have been some uglier truths that have been revealed, which have been possibly a challenging, painful process. Now, that doesn't mean they're not good in the long run. Sometimes I look at it as like having I kind of felt like I had an infection for a long time. And like I finally like went and like gave myself the medicine to like get rid of the infection so like it could heal and then I could like move on. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what it's felt like. But if anybody else has had something like that happen, again, if you're listening to the podcast right now, it's the Singer's Path podcast. If you're on TikTok Live, please check out these other episodes. We get into all kinds of stuff like this that people just aren't talking about. But like most artists do go through, most singers, performers. And we made this to have a place to have this open discussion about this. But if you really like what we're talking about right now, please, we love hearing from you. You can always email us, singerspath@gmail.com. We love hearing back from our listeners. It brings me such joy to hear your reflections or if something meant something to you or if it stuck out to you. That's just, I mean, honestly, I'm just thrilled if anybody's listening to this, honestly, because, my only goal in life really is to help use my experience in a way that might help other people. I don't know if it's my big sister energy. I have 3 younger sisters. I don't know what it is. It's maybe my purpose here. I don't know. But if you relate at all to what I'm saying or talking about, we'd love to hear from you. Again, you can always email us. So now I'm going to kind of briefly, hopefully I talk a lot. I'm going to briefly touch base on, okay, so now there's this uncovering of like, okay, the biggest thing we've learned in my life about 2025 is that I can no longer pursue the traditional means of being a performer. And in fact, I really need to step into my role as being more of a leader and a thought leader around being an artist and a creative. I need to step into my own creativity and reclaim that. And I need to take actual action in creating a system for other people because I've actually worked with just some grade A top professionals that have helped navigate me through this to basically like rescue my own love for my art and my own love for my voice. And like these people that I've worked with are just such professionals and are such healers. And as I was combing through this year, I just knew in my heart that like, yes, we all have the artist way. I love the artist way. I think it's helped millions of people. I also think at the end of the day, there's more there's other ways to help you besides just doing the morning pages. Like that doesn't work for everybody, right? That's a lot of us fall off at reading week, So I absolutely adore the artist way. And I just knew, like, because I'd cleared all this space and I had this like team of people that I like super duper respected and knew they were super professional and were excellent at what they were doing. And I knew that there was this next step for artists to be able to walk into their next year in 2026 and have an actual game plan, action plan to genuinely learn to hold themselves through pursuing their art in a way that is sustainable and feels healthy and feels good. They can develop actual self-worth, actual self-confidence, and not just throw this shit together and make it like some crappy think positive bullshit, but to like actually from a scientific, neurological level, learn how to do that. So that's what we're going to talk about kind of moving into 2026. My goal is to help make this new thing, this inner circle membership, visible and possible to help elevate artists all over the world to stand up and become their next level, but from a place of like deep self-acceptance and healing and in this deep honesty with themselves, have a system in place so that they can let go of the shit that is just holding them the fuck down. All of this stuff that we've uncovered in 2025. And again, I know I'm not the only one that's uncovered this. And proceed into 2026 as their new version of them. Learning to kind of navigate the ups and downs, the rejections when they get so close to a role and they still don't get it, and manifest really in an actual way, in a neuroscience-based way, not just some like bullshit. Actually bring into fruition in a way that feels good and aligned to them, the dreams that they've just been working their fucking asses off doing. That's the other thing. I want to acknowledge if you're listening to this right now and you are someone that has been pushing and grinding and working your fucking ass off for years, pursuing your dream, or at least like having relationship with your art and prioritizing that, I just want to like applaud you and acknowledge you. And I know how hard it is. I get it. And I see you, and what you do is important. So let's talk about ways that we can set goals for ourselves. So the first thing I want to acknowledge is I want you to be mindful is if your goals are things outside of you. Okay. So and this is a big part of what I've learned and what we've learned in creating the Inner Circle membership. If you get too clamped on to, I need to work at this theater company, I need to get this role, I need to be on Broadway by 2026. Okay. When the manifestation that you have is too specific, right? And even if you're like, well, it's on Broadway, it's any Broadway show. Girl, there's only so many Broadway shows. There's only so many people that own those houses. There's only so many. What ends up happening is, again, you put too many constrictions on it, and it has a hard time coming through because, again, maybe having a Broadway show isn't all the way something for you, or it actually wouldn't feel very good. All right. So we're going to talk about ways that we can get clear on how to move into 2026 that actually keeps us in our power and is actually in our control. I also want to acknowledge, I remember that pissing me the fuck off when someone said that to me back in my 20s when I still had these blinders on of the vision and the dream. And if that's happening to you, if you're going, oh, well, of course my goal and my dream is to be on Broadway. Like, fuck you. Like how, that's the manifestation, obviously. I want you to acknowledge your attachment to the thing. Okay. Is it really necessary? Do you have to do it in a way that's in this house and in this way with this show or this role? Or can you just re-put your focus on, oh, actually what I desire is the feeling I get when I pursue my dream, is the feeling of freedom and that divine connection and joy that I have when I'm singing. So like, right, do you see what I'm saying? It's like, sometimes we attach to specific things that we want because we have somewhere decided that that thing is going to make us feel a certain way. Like for me, in my whole like letting go and detachment of like certain timelines and certain things happening in certain ways, it was all around me finally feeling good enough, right? Me finally feeling like there is a level of credibility if you check that box of Broadway, or you have, sometimes it to me it would have nurtured an imposter complex of such. Like, who am I to really do the thing that I want? Who am I to actually lead artists and help people reclaim their voice and feel good about their voice and their art when I haven't manifested this thing over here? Like, what kind of a fraud does that make me? Like, how am I credible in that? Right? So having that thing, I always attached to making me somehow more qualified or better or elite, finally good enough, right? When in reality, I kind of look at that now, and actually I'm still in Broadway limbo with the show I was in. And at this point I'm like, okay, well, if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, that's okay. Right. But that's huge because I was just not in that place at all. Because I recognized that me clinging on to that specific outcome actually made me fucking miserable. And when I was doing shows in a more commercial way, that didn't even feel that good. What really made me happy was connecting with singers, performing for my community. I had a blast singing with my local symphony. I had a beautiful, beautiful experience, like connecting with like the local kids and like seeing my students own their voice. Here, we're getting a comment here. Mr. Hi, my vocal coach is not a performer and doesn't like to perform. Yeah, actually mine too. Linda Tompkinson, she hates performing, but she's changed my life. You know what I mean? And that's okay. I think vocal coaches can also be performers. Like, I still feel like I'm a performer, but it's okay. Like, it doesn't make you not gifted at doing the thing you're called to do, right? So I had to reconcile that. But really what that took was me seeing myself so that I could soften around that truth, right? Linda is your teacher. Oh yeah, I love Linda. No, Linda and I are BFFs. We're tight. Yeah. Anyway, Linda has her own episode if you want to check it out. I interviewed her on this and it's really great, actually. Anyway, I digress. So first thing, as we're moving into 2026, your first task, okay, is to make sure that what you're wanting to up-level and become in 2026 is to get clear on what is the actual desire that you want. Because 9 out of 10 times, okay, it's not actually the thing, it's the way we think the thing will make us feel. I will feel successful. I will feel good enough if I get this thing, right? The real focus, what I actually like to feel, is I want to feel whole. I want to feel like a leader. I want to feel like I'm helping people. I want to feel that divine connection of more or less like channeling my gift in my voice and having an audience present there. I love that energetic exchange that happens with an audience when I know that I've deeply moved them emotionally from my storytelling or from my voice. I love that connection in humanity. I love feeling so present and alive. I love doing roles that feel really good and inspiring and challenging in a really lovely way, right, to me. I feel so good to connect with other people who also love what I do and to get inspired by other artists. And like, those are all feelings. Those are all states of being. And so as we're moving into 2026, that's what I mean by reclaiming what's something that's actually in your control. Because at the end of the day, we can always focus on those things and focus on those feelings and give that to ourselves right now. You can do that right now. That is not outside of you. So what's another way that we can enter this year recommitting to ourselves? There's a couple other things I want to point out. I want to point out our excuses and lies we're telling ourselves, which hopefully in 2025, we would have gotten a little bit more clear on, right? And this is one good thing that the Artist Way shows you, is that it shows you like when you journal every day, you do see your own bullshit like pop up more and more and more. So that is one way that like journaling in the morning can really be helpful. But as we're recommitting to ourselves in 2026, I want you to start to just be mindful. Like, what are things that I'm telling myself that like aren't fucking helpful? Okay, so we already talked about not being too specific with certain things that are outside of us. What are things that we're telling ourselves that aren't fucking true anymore? Where are lies that we're telling ourselves that we're just proclaiming, right? What are things that we have insisted are truths for us that like are actually taking us out of our power, right? For me, a lot of that can revolve around fear of visibility. A big one that I've uncovered actually before this year, grief was a big year for me this year, and uncovering was a big year, honesty and safety, and visibility. But actually money and visibility, I also worked on previous years, and that's how I started to grow my following and have some viral videos and do all that, and have started to learn to feel more safe in that. Like I'm actively still doing that. But money was a huge, huge way that I started getting clear on all the fucking lies that I was telling myself. And I'm gonna be punchy about this, but this is I really do hope to offer more of a money resource for artists and creatives. This is one of your fucking biggest lies and kryptonites you're telling yourself, guys. And I know all y'all feel really attacked and get real triggered about it. And I want to see you. I understand a lot of that comes from fear. And like, who do you think you are? I'm an artist, right? Of course, I've picked my art over money. Like, this is just the way it is. But that's what I mean. Like, does that really have to be the way it is? Is that true? Is that really true? Okay. Or have you just bought into a narrative, right? And I mean, you might retort like, Sarah, well, these theater companies aren't paying that much, or like, this is da. And I'm like, okay, I didn't say all of your money had to come from doing that one specific thing. Okay. I'm talking very broadly about your relationship with money, which is really a reflection of your relationship with yourself. Okay. One of the lies you could tell yourself is that, you know, maybe you're being really cheap with how you're investing in yourself. And this can really come down to recommitting to yourself, right? Are you looking at, I need you to be so for real right now. Are you looking at yourself like the horse that's going to win? Like, really? Are you watching the race? Are you actually envisioning, right? I talked about maybe not envisioning specific things, but like, do you really in your heart of hearts, like envision how capable you are of creating the life that you imagine? Okay, so why aren't you placing a bet on that horse, right? Like, why aren't you... Another thing that I like to get real about, and again, not telling lies to ourselves or not being able to recommit to ourselves, one of the biggest things is, you know, a lot of these professional artists, y'all are in denial about the fact that you're an entrepreneur. You are a business. When you are a singer, a gig for hire singer, you're writing an album, you're auditioning for shows, you are a product. You are a business. Businesses need funding, baby. So instead of, again, and I know this is, again, I'm going to offer an actual resource to help you untangle all of this, because I understand there's just so much here, right? We're kind of covering a few different layers here today of ways that we might not be telling ourselves very helpful things, ways that we can actually learn how to recommit to ourselves. But when you start softening, the money story thing is a big deal, because you need to feel like you're meeting your own financial needs, right? And again, I'm not telling you exactly how to do that. I'm just telling you right now it needs to be addressed. And it's something that I've worked through and made waves in. And it took me a couple years. But I started, this is why I'm making this kind of work, this ability to hold yourself through and look at the money stories and learn to change them, learn to get your system on board, to feel safer, to step into this new way of being. All of this exists in the Inner Circle membership, specifically in the Spotlight system. The Spotlight system is, oh my God, guys, it is probably the best thing I've made so far. And I've made some kick-ass things, okay? I've made advanced mix, I've made pillars. Singers all over the world love those. We have repeat buyers. People they watch the Discover class and then all of a sudden they're a fucking client for life, okay? The spotlight system, I knew that all this stuff that I'm talking about, the way that you can uncover money, the way that you can get clear on the things that you actually want, the ways that you can uncover all the shit that you need to leave behind, the ways that you can hold yourself through the grief to keep pursuing the dream in the way that's actually in alignment for you, right? The way that you can make yourself feel safe to continue to have the visibility that maybe you actually know you're supposed to have. All of these points are actually pretty specific to the artist experience. And I've spent the last how many years working through that. Obviously, I went into pretty good detail about the grief aspect of that. But through this process, I've hired professionals that I respect and are excellent at what they do to basically help come on and make things specifically for artists. Because there's a lot of like manifestation, self-help, woo-woo stuff out there. But beyond the artist's way, there's not a whole lot of quality help, okay, around these specific issues. And in the Spotlight system, I've brought on I actually co-created with a therapist. Every time I say this, I have to say this. Just because it's made with a therapist, it does not mean that you're in a therapeutic relationship when you get it. Or when you're on it, that's not how that works, right? I just wanted to make sure it was really good so that as you're working through it and you're helping yourself through it, at least it's of high value and high quality, okay? So this Spotlight system, big fucking deal, guys. And it's exclusive to the Inner Circle membership. In the Spotlight system, you're going to cover like literally anything that is tumultuous in the artist experience is fucking covered in there, okay? I'm talking about, I know a lot of you on here talk about stage fright and performance nerves. You leave your body. You don't feel safe within yourself. Even when you walk into in a room at rehearsal, you're like second guessing your whole self-worth and like you're so nervous that what you can't contribute to the room, right? There's an entire fucking program on that. Each of these are entire programs. I'm saying when I say this thing is huge and all-encompassing and fucking top quality, I fucking mean it. Okay? This is like, if I'm going to charge artists, if I'm going to say, hey, in exchange, if you pay me, here's this thing, you better fucking believe it's good. Right? And I've invested more money in making this than anything else because I know how fucking important it is, because I value artists fucking helping themselves and fucking rising. Like, stop playing small, right? So as we're recommitting ourselves, walking into 2026, you're having the opportunity to work on the stage fright and performing nerves. Look at your relationship with money. I've paid fucking, oh God, upwards of 30 grand learning the information that's in just the money program alone. Like literally, I've completely reframed and changed at the brain level my relationship with money, and I've had this has been the biggest year that I've ever had because of that work. So there's a whole money program in there. There's an entire fame and visibility program, right? Say you're so afraid of posting your stuff online. Like you like literally want to die every time you post a TikTok, you want to delete it. Like you post it and then you delete it, right? Like, or you're like, oh God, how am I going to have my dreams come true if I can't even like sing in front of someone? Like things like that. Like, so there's a whole fame and visibility program. It's incredible. It's incredible. There's an artist manifestation, right? I know a lot of artists are into manifestation, but like we're going to take the woo-woo shit out of it and we're going to show you at a neurological, psychological level why that works and how to basically like program your brain to get the things that are truly aligned for you, right? So we shed the things that are not and we open ourselves up to the things that are by doing a little bit like what we did in this episode today, which is lining up with them. And being clear on how we can detect what's actually for us. There's a whole Recovering Creative Play, which is a brilliant program. Again, these are all their own programs that are exclusive inside the Inner Circle membership. This Recovering Creative Play is like the artist way on crack. Guys, we use hypnosis, we use somatics, there's extra exercises. It's actually a beautiful thing to do with the artist way. a beautiful enhancer to recovering that creative play. Say you had a role that was like really taxing or really hard on you to do. You've kind of lost your joy. I'm doing it currently, actually, right now. I'm recovering my songwriting and returning to songwriting. Guys, I'm doing everything that's in here, by the way. I made this a lot from me. Okay, let's be for real. But I'm returning to songwriting, so this is helping me do that. There's a whole trust in letting go. Say you got dropped by your label or your agent, or say, you've been refreshing callback corner, or you've been scared of letting go. You don't have a lot of trust for yourself. It's feeling really scary right now. You're feeling a little shaky about when your next opportunity is going to come in. That is going to help you learn to hold yourself through that. There's artist self-worth. Guys, I mean, there's so much in here, guys. It's like, the fact, if you don't fucking join this, it would be bananas. Like, the artist self-worth has a body image workshop for my dancers out there, actors. There's a whole voice workshop. Guys, the price of this for the voice workshop for my singers out there, I swear to fucking God, the amount of you that have such a complex relationship with your voice, this is completely worth it just for that section of the artist self-worth. I've taught the workshop that's in the artist self-worth around voice around the world, multiple places. The breakthroughs that people have in that, insane. And like, again, accessible right now. Like, I'm fucking dead. Like, and then finally there's shadow and shame. So looking at where, ways that shame has clung onto our art, and you can soften that. And there's also self-compassion and inner child. So, touching base with the inner child that loved to do your art in the first place, your singing in the first place, dancing, acting, all of that. So when I'm saying recommitting to yourself, guys, I want you to recommit to the vision of the things. I want you to get still. I want you to get intuitive about how you want to walk into 2026. I want you to get clear on the ways that you might have not been completely honest with yourself. 2025 has been all about peeling away the stuff that's no longer for us and stepping into the version of ourselves that we know we're meant to be, right? Whether we're doing it kicking or screaming, I know like 90% of the population knows that 2026 is going to be different, and not in a way that like, oh, just get me out of here. I want this to be different. Like, there's something happening. Like, I've talked to many clients. I've talked to friends. There's something about 2026 that's going to be different. And it's really important. It's really, really important that we have a plan. Okay? So please, please, please. Guys, you also have to recognize when I'm pushing this, like, I make less money when it's this price. So sometimes I know some of you guys are like, oh, she's just trying to sell something. Like, it's all about stuff. No, girl. I would rather you buy it at full price, bitch. Okay? Like, obviously, I make more money that way. No, like, I genuinely, I'm telling you about this inner circle membership that includes the spotlight system. It includes 2 masterclasses with experts a month. Again, it's insane. It's insane. And guys, it's less than $2 a day. Okay? You can literally completely rewire your mind and to fall back in love with your voice. You get to connect with some brilliant minds and career strategy that happens. You get to return to feeling safe. You get to finally, even if it's just finally walking into an audition and feeling genuinely confident. The outcomes that you will get from this are insane. Feel like you've actually developed self-worth in your artistry, like you actually feel abundant, like you're not afraid of knowing where your next paycheck is going to be, like you're in trust, right? That you feel a sense of joy and fun writing your songs, beginning to write your songs again. Guys, I'm just labeling like one-off things that happen from doing this kind of work. And let me tell you, I am evidence of doing this. This is why I made it. So like, again, I want you to join because I want it to be a lower price for you. I want it to be accessible for you. Okay. So we're talking about recommitting to ourselves. This is it. This is it. And if you're telling yourself, oh, well, I really want to like learn to belt this year, and I really want to, connect to my vocal acrobats and singing the way that I want to sing. This is related to that. More often than not, when I work with the best singers, this is the kind of work that actually blocks them from getting their voice free. The best singers actually deal a lot with this. this is where it comes up. These inner stories, these programmings that we have around our voice are the things that end up kind of holding us back from our next level, whether it's, singing the way that we want to sing, or if it's embodying our next level of being the performer that we're meant to be. Like this inner work, this is the stuff that is standing between you and the next version, right? So as you're recommitting to yourself in 2026, you're walking into the next year. I really want you to know that this founder's pricing, less than $2 a day, it's only available until January 7th, y'all. And if you're listening and you're like, well, on the live, you're like, well, Christmas is pretty soon. Like maybe I don't want it, but this other person that I want has been struggling with this and I feel like it would be a good gift. Like, get it for them. When I say that this shit has changed my life, it's changed my fucking life. Like, completely. I was actually, yesterday I was like crying in gratitude because of how this work has completely shifted how I look at the world and the things that have welcomed themselves into my life and how abundant and beautiful my life is because of doing this. So again, I only make things that I know have a place and are a necessity in this world. So I just really want you to help yourself, and I want you to help yourself while it's slow. Because if you get in before January 7th, you'll lock that in forever, right? The $2 a day is specifically for the people that commit to the annual. But I know some of us have, some commitment issues and we're not really sure. And I know there's a lot of money noise and we're afraid, what if I can't afford it the next month? Or what if I can't? There's also a month-to-month option. Okay. So you can try it and you can cancel it. If it doesn't work, then cancel it. Or if you're getting it for someone, get them to get started, right? This is, if someone bought me this 7 years ago, what it's saying when you buy this for an artist that you love, it's really truly saying like, I believe in you. I know you can keep going. You deserve to feel confident in yourself. You deserve to fall in love with your art again. That's what you're saying when you buy this for someone. Okay. So all that to say, the Inner Circle membership, you get your ass in there by January 7th. I mean this with my whole heart. I just know it's going to help people. I'm so excited for you, who, if you're listening on the TikTok live, you're listening on the podcast, I'm really excited for you to help yourself and to join and to learn from these beautiful professionals that have crafted all these things. The program uses hypnosis, somatics, co-created with experts. There's live calls. It's just the most beautiful thing. I'm so proud of it. And I'm so eager for you to get in there at the lowest price possible. My live's going to end here. So it's time to go. My husband's waiting for me at Lowe's, so I got to go. And with that, I hope if you're on the TikTok live, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. And if you're listening now and it's after Christmas, think about it for the new year, really. And ways that you can get clear, let's be honest, with where we're not being all the way, we're not telling all the way the truth to ourselves. And also ways that, maybe we can step into the things that we want without clinging on to specific timelines. And if you need help doing that, and you need help kind of becoming this next version of yourself, recommitting to your goals in a way that's actually from a place of self-love and actually seeing yourself, get your butt in that Inner Circle membership, baby. I can't wait to connect with you there. All right. And with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you have a happy holiday, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.